Welcome to Health Conscious Entrepreneurs, where we uncover secrets to balancing entrepreneurship, life, and healthy habits to achieve radiant health. I'm your host, Ngoc Tai, and today I have my friend Don, all the way from Kansas. Welcome, Don. Thank you for coming on to our summit.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, and tell us, please, share your background because you have so many businesses. And today I want to talk about financial health and your background, your profession, and what brings you joy in terms of doing your business.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, by profession, I guess I'm a coach. I started off 10 years ago in sales doing door-to-door stuff. And I ended up becoming the trainer of our door-to-door sales team. And that showed me how much joy that I find and how much fulfillment I get from helping others succeed.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So I transitioned that to online. And so now I coach people in sales and business growth mindset.
That's awesome. And that's so important, right? When we're doing business, the frame of the mindset, like you have to play so many different roles. And as a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to be a business owner, an entrepreneur on your own, you've got to be the sales team, the marketing team, the budget person. You've got to be the CFO, the CEO, the COO all at once. Absolutely.
And the IT guy, troubleshooter.
That's always fun.
And then the accountant.
Yes.
Which always suffers because everything else is priority, sales, generating sales and stuff. And I always find that even as an accountant myself, my accounting is like not my first priority. It's everything else is generating the business is my priority.
Yeah. I've done the same. I find myself looking at my Stripe or my PayPal account and I just see this is how much came in. This is how much went out. All right, cool. There's my accounting for the month. It's a habit that we fall into when we first get started because we're not actually building a business budget at that point in time. We are just focusing on the growth and what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But then it becomes a habit. And when you do need to start paying attention to it, now you're in the bad habit of not watching it as closely as you should.
Exactly. And so as a business owner, all your experiences, what kind of tips can you provide to people who are listening, who are starting their own business? Is there something that they can do to avoid a lot of the mistakes? Because I've done several businesses and I spent a lot of money like doing different things. And now I came to the realization there were some fundamentals that I should have done as a business owner.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that one of the most important things that people need to keep in mind when starting a business is that everything about it needs to be thought of as a business from the beginning. Not just a hobby that we're going to try and see if we can make some money off of, which is where most people start. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try this. We'll see what happens. If it starts to go, we'll do something with it. Well, unfortunately, that's what builds a lot of those bad habits in because they don't take it seriously and as a business from the get-go. Mm-hmm. When you look at it as a business expense and as a business budget from the start, mm-hmm. you pay a little more attention to where it is that's going out and how it's coming back in and how that rotation and flow of money goes. Mm-hmm. Most people just want to look at what's coming in, mm-hmm. right? And you've got to have a proper flow of finances, of cash. It's going to go in and out. Mm-hmm. You've got to watch that. Mm-hmm. Tracking. That's the other big one. You mm-hmm. pay attention, track it all. Mm-hmm. Anything that you track, you know about, it can grow. Mm-hmm. Anything that you don't pay attention to and watch, mm-hmm. it can go all over the place and you end up spending stuff. I don't know how many times I remember just in the past year going back through PayPal and I see monthly payments going out to tools that I don't even use anymore.
Yeah.
I quit using them, but because I wasn't paying attention to the finances right, mm-hmm. I just continued to pay them and move on with life. Mm-hmm. Well, over a 6-month time, that's a few $100s that I could have put someplace else.
Mm-hmm. And I teach as an accountant, I always teach people, okay, keep your business expense separate from your personal expense.
Yes.
Right? It's so important that when you start a business, you need to look at the entity that you want to create. Do you want a sole proprietor? You want to be an S Corp, an LLC, a C Corp? These are all the entities that you should have conversation with someone who can guide you, because there are different tax strategies that you can do based on the entity that you create, right? And so I, as a CPA, I can kind of guide people, say, okay, this is what you can do. These are the tax write-offs you can have. And if you create a different structure, this structure is more advantageous than another. How do you capitalize on the different structures you have to make sure that you're writing different expenses off, and also to protect yourself, right? So
Right.
Yeah, because we have to like keep our records straight. Make sure your credit cards are, business related in one credit card. Personal is another credit card, right? And make sure you keep your records, because you don't want the IRS coming back and auditing you and not having all your paperwork in place. Right. So those are important things to think of. So when you started your business, did you, what were some of the mistakes that you made that you learned from?
Where do you want me to start there? I've made a lot. Well, some of the first ones were exactly like you said, not keeping things separated. Mm-hmm. Not thinking of it as a business, but just thinking of this is work. Right? Having that employee mindset, there's money coming into the bank, out of the bank all the time, paying the bills out of the same account, the money's coming in from business on. And if you don't keep it separated, like you were saying, you don't treat it as the business entity itself, mm-hmm. then yeah, you can end up getting a lot of things confused. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, you also don't keep track of what you're spending mm-hmm. on the business itself, because it's all just one big blob. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was definitely a big lesson learned. It took me about 3 months before I finally realized, okay, you know what, I can't do this, because my wife's got budgeted to have something be paid. Mm-hmm. And I just paid for this over here. Now we've got account problems. Gotta separate the two. Have a completely separate account, completely separate cards, all of that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And where I'm at, of course, you can have a solo, yeah, you said the word a second ago.
Sole proprietor.
There you go. A sole proprietorship. I can have a bank account under my own name, but then have a DBA attached to it, doing business as, mm-hmm. to have a company name attached to that, even though it's still a personal, business account. Mm-hmm. And that made it a lot easier to keep it separated. And then when people were paying or when I was invoicing, I could still use the business name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that really solidified in my mind, okay, now this is its own established thing. Mm-hmm. Some of the other big mistakes that I made, especially when it came to finances, was nickel and diming myself on all these little tools. Not really studying on what this was going to do or that was going to do, but then, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. Oh, I want that. And then not doing anything with them for 3-4 months because I wasn't ready for it yet. I was just trying to snatch a bunch of stuff up, so when I get there, it's ready. And well, wait till you get there.
That's right. Yeah, and I've done the same too. I mean, I've made so many, I've had several businesses of my own, and I think I've made so many mistakes and lots of money, but now I'm like this time around, I feel like, okay, I think I've learned, like, everything I know, it's here, it's in my brain. All the knowledge I needed is here. I need to stop enrolling myself in all these courses, and I need to stop, just focus on one and stay in that step of focusing on that coaching, and stop going out and seeking more like conferences and stuff. Just finish this, right?
Yeah, and that was another big one. Mm-hmm. Getting it out, writing out your plan of action, what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have done that. I didn't do that early on either. Mm-hmm. Now that's something that I sit down and I look over monthly. Okay, what did I do last month that worked? What am I going to do next month to keep moving? Mm-hmm. Like, you stop getting into all of this, the shiny object syndrome, pick where you're going to go and start getting actionable steps to move you there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And do you yourself have a personal coach that you go to?
Oh, yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely. Brian Dalmaso is my mentor, the man that I'm working with. He mentors directly under Bob Proctor.
Love Bob.
Yeah, and then Bob was mentored by multiple people, mm-hmm. Earl Nightingale being one of them. I mean, mm-hmm. anybody who's ever been super successful and gone that far has had a mentor somewhere. Tony Robbins did. Warren Buffett had a mentor. Everybody. Mm-hmm. Right? So, yeah, definitely having somebody that you can go to and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Does this fit with where we're at?
Mm-hmm.
And having their expertise to be able to say yes or no, or maybe work you through it in a way that you can see whether you should or not. That's a good coach there, who'll ask the questions to let you see it, not just say, yeah, no, don't do that, do this instead.
Yeah. It's so powerful because I feel like, you know, I've been seeking so many different coaches, and then when I feel like, okay, I spend a lot of money in different coaches, and then I finally found a coach that was in line with my values and in line with the teaching, that was like in tune to my personality, right? And then, you know, it was a big leap taking that coaching, but I find it so powerful because it forces me to say, okay, this is the structure you need, all right, and it holds you accountable. And
Right.
so coaching is what that's all about, is that you're having another set of eyes who have a different perspective, who's done what you did, who are successful in their business. So you, from a coach perspective, you have to look at what are they doing, that are they successful, before you just leap into any coach. I think that's very important, right?
Absolutely. Oh goodness, yes. Yeah, there are so many people out there that are claiming to be coaches that have never done what they say they can teach people to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them out there, and that's I get messages from them all the time. Hey, have you looked into doing this? Well, you know, I might consider it, but where are you at with your business right now? Show me what well, I just got started. Well, then how can you tell somebody you can help them to get to this point when you're not there yet? Right? You've been told this is a way to do it, but until you actually get it done yourself, you can't share it with somebody else in an effective manner. Yeah. Right? This is I equate it to doctors. A lot of doctors, every professor for the final medical doctors thing is a doctor themselves. They have done it. They don't let people come in with just textbook knowledge and teach people how to do surgery. Yeah. You have to have done it yourself to understand the intricacies of it. Coaches need to do the same thing. So do your study and know who you're working with, for sure.
Yeah, I you know, for me, it's like, I think that's the best investment. And investing in your own education, investing in your coaching, and surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded like you. You know, how do you find that your community, your tribe of like-minded individuals to help you grow in your personal development, your mental development, your spiritual development, your financial development, right? And finding the people who you can trust to guide you and giving you the right tools, like this whole summit. It's like, how do we bring together all these amazing people like yourself being on here? And I'm so grateful to talk about financial health, because that's so important, you know.
It is.
So
it is. And
go ahead.
Just there's a lot more to it than some people realize, but at the same time, it's not as complicated as people believe it to be. And so I think a lot of times when people start talking about running a business and, you know, financial health, just being able to keep track of it all, they see complication. They see having to hire an accountant, having to go, you know, do all this, and then they build it into something so huge when it's really not that complicated. It's just important to get it down in steps that you can follow properly. Right. So yeah, having a mentor, having a proper blueprint of how to take those steps is what's going to make a big difference.
And I think in surround yourself, like we say, surround ourselves with people who've done business, right? People who have different knowledge, like, you know, surround yourself with, talk to an accountant, talk to an attorney, talk to a real estate person if you're doing real estate, talk to a coach if you're doing coaching, talk to someone in the health industry if you're, and going out to Facebook. You know, I find Facebook so powerful. And before, you know, I never used Facebook. I mean, I had an account in Facebook, but I never did anything to it. And I saw people posting like food and stuff. And like, you know, I don't want to post my own personal life on there. But now I see the transition where everybody's like connecting at a different level. And I think, you know, like me connecting to you on Facebook, it's like, I found you on Facebook. It's like, hey, Don, can you come on and talk to my team on the summit and about financial health? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Facebook is a great place to go to find people. LinkedIn is a decent place to go to find people. And Facebook I like better because people are usually more transparent there. You can scroll down a feed and you can see where somebody came from
Mm-hmm.
to where they're going. And you can find a lot of people that, aren't authentic, or find the ones that are based on where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a lot of times political views, religious views, these kinds of things through the posts that they make, and get a little bit to know if this is somebody that's going to connect with you properly or not before you ever start talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Facebook groups are a great place to find many people that are at least on the same path and to get different perspectives from different areas.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I like working with Brian so much, because he's the CEO of 5 different companies,
Mm-hmm.
and all 5 are completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got perspectives from all of these different areas that he's been working with over the last 8-9 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been great getting different perspectives and a different point of view from, like you said, all over the place. Masterminding, that is the key to it right there. I think it was Henry Ford who said, I don't need to know how to do everything in my business. I just need to know somebody who does.
Exactly. Yeah. And leveraging off of different people's knowledge and skill sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so important, because I know as a CEO of my own company, I can't do everything. So I've been able to have like a person to help me, on my VA, on the administrative side, or the social media side, or things like that. But having the resources and taking that fight to invest in your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of trying to do it all yourself and getting frustrated and not being able to handle and having things fall apart, is like having that money to really okay, it's worth it if you invest in the right people, worth it to invest in the right coaching.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Which leads back to also keeping your business as a separate entity, because if you don't know exactly what's coming in, then how do you know, first of all, how much you've got to invest in your business and growth? But then you also have no way of tracking what your return on that investment was, to see if it's another investment you want to make into a next step because it was worth it, or I need to find a different strategy and a different direction to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so important. And so when we talk about like a corporate person who works for someone versus our own entrepreneur, versus trying, as your own self-employment, versus network marketing and all that sort of stuff, right? So we're looking at different categories of how to make money. I find, I've been in all those situations. I've been in the employee, still their employee, but trying to transition from that. And then being in my own business, and now being part of a network marketing business.
Yeah.
And I see the network marketing business is so powerful, because we're leveraging off of the network of people you're working with, right? And their knowledge,
Absolutely.
their skill sets, and their training, and then leveraging off of each other's work to create another source of income. And it's wow, I never knew about network marketing business until I'm in one now. And it's just people are afraid of network marketing business, and they think it's multi-level, but I don't think all businesses are multi-level. There's network marketing is different than multi-level marketing.
All businesses are multi-level.
Every
one of them. The CEO doesn't make the same as the janitor. Every business is the exact same in that point. And that's why I get frustrated, like I said, with people in network marketing. Well, that's an MLM. That doesn't work. Where do you work? Okay, well, are you making the same wages as this person? No. Where does the CEO get his money? It's all from a product that's sold, that then the money comes in and the business trickles it down little by little to each person. It's the exact same concept. The problem with MLMs, and the reason why people got such a bad taste of it, is because of all of these info products out there that have nothing real to sell. And so people invest in them thinking that they're going to be able to do the same, but there's nothing to sell. It ends up being, a problem there, and then they fall apart in a year. When you've got an actual product and something that is truly helping people, then it's no different. Working with a network marketing company is no different than recommending somebody to go use a mechanic that you truly like. It's the exact same thing. You're just referring somebody to a company that you trust.
Yeah, that's very true.
However, the difference is in the businesses now, from an employee mindset of I've got to clock in because this person's going to pay me if I don't, to owning any business of your own, whether it be a coaching business, network marketing, it doesn't matter. that's a complete different set, because now you can't depend on somebody else to pay you if you're putting in your work. It's not a trade of time for money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people get stuck. They think, man, I've been working on this for 3 months. This is all I've made. This doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
No. It's working if you've made anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep building.
Yeah.
It takes time to do.
Yeah.
It's not a trade time for money situation anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And in every business, every business, it takes time to build, right? You just don't expect to have like a miracle business. You jump in and it's kicking and it's running. That's not business. Business is about making mistakes, right? Investing in like what you need to invest in and putting the time and effort to learn the product, to learn what you're marketing, to learn who your clientels are, right? To learn all these steps and how to have the right mindset to creating that.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and that's, people see it all the time. Somebody go from, me personally, people that I worked with watched me go from making $8,000 a month to making $20,000 a month in a matter of 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like, holy crap, you did it overnight. You just jumped from here to here. No. What they don't see is the year before that I took learning the different skills that were needed and making the mistakes to piece them together properly to finally find that spot where I had it right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a 2-month process that put me there. It was a year and a half of learning these things.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely the mindset was the biggest step and the biggest switch that really took things off and set it on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are stuck with the limiting beliefs that they've got. They hear, wow, $20,000 a month, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. It's just an amount.
Mm-hmm.
There is no large or small. It's all relative.
Mm-hmm.
So long as you think it's huge, you're going to have trouble reaching it because your subconscious mind isn't going to let you have something that you don't feel you can get to.
Yeah. So
And we
first,
hold ourselves back.
mm-hmm. So we have to first have that mindset of say, what is our goal, right? What is a goal that will make us comfortable in the way we're living, in the giving us the lifestyle that we want, with the financial freedom, right? To do what we want and not be stuck in being unhappy, right? So it's a balance of that, and then having that mindset, and not limiting ourselves. Oh, this is how much I'm really worth, but really I can do whatever I want. I can create as much money as I want. And then once we have that change in our mindset, right, the switch, then, we can do whatever we want and create whatever wealth we want from that switch.
It's exactly right. And it's all about paradigms. Anybody listening to this right now, it's not your fault that you think the way that you do about it. If you have limiting beliefs about how hard money is to get, we were taught, I was growing up, about hard-earned money. Mm-hmm. And, you got to put your work into it to get there. Money's not hard to make. Mm-hmm. It's really not. I've learned that now. But yes, I had that limiting belief for a long time. They were built into you. Mm-hmm. You didn't ask for them. That's not your fault that they're there. Mm-hmm. But now that you can start to become aware of the differences, now it's your choice whether you keep them or not. Yeah.
And so I read a lot of books, and some of my inspirational books are, Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
You Were Born Rich. That's Bob Proctor. I just really love him. I've been to his training. And, and there's so listen to Tony Robbins, listen to Dean, and listen to, Russell Brunson, and all these amazing people who's been able to create, they're a powerhouse. They all started from somewhere. They started not having money. And how is that they're able to create from nothing to be successful where they're at? They had to do something, right? That changed their mindset.
Yeah. And the majority of them, what they did was find a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
They bumped into somebody that was able to show them another way and show them a better way. Mm-hmm. Bob Proctor talks about it in some of his stuff. I work pretty closely with him, so he's one of the first that come to mind, but how he started gaining in what he was doing when he was the VP of sales for Nightingale Conant Corporation, but he didn't understand what he was doing. Mm-hmm. He's trying to figure out in his own mind, how did I go from making only this much to making this much in the last year? What happened? And it wasn't until Earl sat him down and showed him, the book, The Science of Getting Rich. Mm-hmm. And he went through it, that he started realizing, okay, he was doing things in a certain way that lined up right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, a lot of times it takes a mentor to do it. There are plenty of people out there that are, unconscious competence.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand how they're so successful. They couldn't articulate and tell you how they did it. They just do.
Mm-hmm.
And they follow it. Grant Cardone's a perfect example of this, because he'll tell you he doesn't believe in any of the stuff Bob Proctor teaches, but yet he lives by it every day.
Mm-hmm.
He shows it in what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's an unconscious competent. He knows how to use this information. He just doesn't realize that's what he's doing.
Yeah. And and these are the people who are role models that we need to look at and say, okay, well, they figured it out. They figure it out and they're willing to share it with you. And the cost of it is minimal. If you think about it, the cost and the cost and the reward, right? Benefits and reward.
Yes.
Benefits and cost. And we look at this, it's like, okay, you invest a little bit in this money up front. And then the return on it is so substantial.
Yes.
And we talk about ROI. The return is that your future is much better, right? Your financial future is a lot better, and everything in your life will change. But you just have to bite the bullet and say, "Hey, I find a right mentor, a right coach, right, to guide me."
And then just the mindset part of even just the way you worded it yourself there. A lot of people look at how much is this going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people ask me, how much does working with you cost? It doesn't cost a thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it doesn't cost a thing, because a cost is a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And when people hear that word, well, this is going to cost me something. No, you're not losing anything. You are investing with the expectation of a larger return.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's just one of those simple mindset things that I even coach people through on calls, that they just need to see. Changing the language and understanding where you're going starts changing the way your mind sees it.
Yeah. And I do the same with my water business. I was like, okay, well, you're investing in your health, right? It's like this, you have to look at what you invest is your health, and the return on your health is priceless. Because if you don't have your health, there's nothing really in the world would matter, because all that money in your bank account is worthless if you don't have your health.
That's right. If you can't get out and enjoy it anyways, who cares?
Exactly. If you don't have your health, you're at home, you're stuck at home in bed, your mental, emotional state, your mind, your body won't work.
Exactly.
So you have to, first and foremost, I say, priority in life, invest in your health, invest in your education, right? And those are so powerful. We change our mindset and realize that's so important. We talked about the water, and you said you have a water machine too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've got one. And like you said, the investment in your health is really saving you from the amount of debt you're going to get into later.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Keeping yourself healthy, if you don't do that, you're going to end up paying larger medical bills than what the investment to keep your health would have been in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
You're going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay for it up front and you make the investment to do it, you're going to end up paying less, and you're going to be able to enjoy more of it in the long run. Mm-hmm. And as you said, your mindset, your mental state is not going to be able to stay consistent if you're not taking care of the body right in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that it's a key is prevention, not treatment, right? We prevent or invest in this one body, the prevention first, instead of like later the treatment, because we know treatment is so expensive.
Yes.
The cost of that, it's just, I don't want treatment. I want prevention.
Absolutely.
And
this is why, investing in your health, having a good workout routine, eating proper, paying attention to all these things helps you physically, but it also helps mentally. You feel better when you do these things, right? Yeah, there are days I get up, I don't want to work out. I don't feel like it. I'm tired, but halfway through the workout, I'm feeling great. I'm glad I did. I'm up and I'm moving again. Just that type of investment in yourself is important.
So any other tips we have for our viewers today before I ask you my final question that I always ask my experts?
All right. Well, I would say that if you are unsure about how much mindset can affect where you're at, I'd like to, if you don't mind, just tell a short little story that'll explain this. Right? If you take a child and you tell this child that every day they must not be that smart because their grades are only C's and D's, so they're not that smart of a child, and this is the way they get treated based on the results on their report cards. If you ask any expert, you ask any person on the street, they'll tell you, if you tell a child that, they're never going to get any better. They'll be stuck there. We know that. We understand how that works in the negative. Understand that it works the same way in the positive. And when you continually tell somebody and tell yourself how great you are going to be and how much you are doing for people, and you build the positive up, it will have the same effect as the negative will. It will help to bring more positive back. And everybody around you will see the difference, and it will change your entire life, your relationships, everything about everything around you becomes better.
It's very true. And also the importance of multiple sources of income, correct?
Well, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Multiple sources of income are very, very important. That's the secret to the truly wealthy in the long run.
Yeah.
A lot of people are learning that the hard way with this COVID thing, because they're not able to go to work now, and they didn't have any other source of income. So now they're stuck waiting on the government to process unemployment and go through all these things.
Yeah.
And that's put a lot of people in a rough spot.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I've got 4 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the one big one that I focus on all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but then I've got these side ones that I slowly work on to build out. And if something happens to one of them, that's all right. I can put more focus onto this one instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very important there.
Yeah. I that's why I always, all my life, I always believe in multiple sources of income. Even though a full-time job, I always have multiple side businesses, some things that I'm working on, creating different sources, because you have to have a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup and multiple backups, right? Because you don't just want to be stuck with just one source of income where you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Exactly what you say with the whole COVID. It's a wake-up call for all of us to look at our life differently, to look at our job differently, to look at our financial situation differently, so that we are prepared for anything that comes, like the next COVID or whatever that comes, because this is not going to be the last time, right? It's going to be the beginning, because we're all like, we're realizing that we're all globally connected. And then
even before all this COVID stuff, people understood there is no job security. You could get fired tomorrow. The business could go out. The boss could sell the place. I mean, job security hasn't been a thing for probably the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
COVID just made it much more apparent to people who didn't believe it yet.
That's right. That's right. And then invest in our health too. Like, okay, so that's so important. So my last question: if you have a superpower, any superpower, to change the world, what would that superpower be and why?
A superpower that's specifically built to change the world. That's the hard part. If I could have the ability to make it to where nobody was ever hungry again, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because that's one of the most debilitating thing for young people and for children in this world. And they are in a position that they did not ask for it. They have no control over it. Yeah. They are just brought into the world, and this is the hand you're dealt, right? That's rough. And obviously taking care of your health is an important thing. So those children who are not able to eat right and able to be taken care of properly that way, then later on have bigger medical problems. They're mentally not developed as quickly. They don't learn as fast. So yeah, if I could do that, if I could have the superpower to just magically create food for everybody in the world, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's amazing. And I think you brought up a great point. And I think what we need to come back to is the core. I think the core of the family, the core of, the life, right? And we have to be in balance ourselves, right? In order for us to have children, we need to take the responsibility of being like a person who, if you cannot raise that child or provide for that child, we have to look at, why are you bringing kids to the world if you cannot provide for them? You have to look at, how do we fix this body, fix this mind, fix their finances, so that we're in a position to have children, to bring them to the world, to create a better world. We don't want to bring children to the world where we're not creating a better world. We're creating more of a detriment for these kids that has a vicious cycle. For me, that's so important.
Yeah. And all of that really just falls down to responsibility. Be responsible to yourself.
Yeah.
hold on to your integrity.
Yeah.
That way, when you are entrusted with greater things, whether it be a promotion at work, running a business, having a child, you're responsible enough to know that you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful. Thank you so much. And how do we find you? If someone wants to get some coaching program with you and your what you do, how do we find you?
Right. Well, I've got, I'm on Facebook, obviously. So that one's easy. You can just look up, Don Stratton Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Instagram under the same name.
Okay.
And then I've got a Facebook group as well that's strictly on mindset that I, constantly teach. You can find a link to that in my profile. So yeah, that's the fastest ways to get a hold of me is Facebook.
Mm-hmm. All right. And do you offer any free ebooks or something that somebody can download or?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't. I don't write anything out. I don't have any, free giveaways that way. What I do is just get on calls with people and offer free coaching.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, I get on calls with folks and I don't talk about money. I don't offer a program. I don't anything at all. I will give somebody 45 minutes to just ask about anything mindset or business that they would like, and we'll talk about it.
Powerful. Well, thank you so much for making such an impact, in what you do, because it's so important that we provide free information, right? Just like a call that we're doing, like this whole summit. It's providing free data so that people can look at their life differently, look at how they can improve their health, look at how they can improve their finances and stuff like that. And so if the more that we give, the more we will receive as we don't expect it. We're just going to give. Absolutely. And then it will come back tenfold.
That's right.
Right.
Right. The concept of being the go-giver. That's what I live by. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch and continue our conversation and possibly other stuff that we're doing together.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.